All right. If you could revisit any of your characters you've played and perform it again with everything you know now, would you? And who would it be?
Oh gosh. Wow. Ah. Well, maybe there was a character that I played very early on in some of these titles, a lot of these titles.
Hmm.
Um, and the title of this one is escaping me, but it is one I did very early on, and she is the mother. So she's the mother of the bad guy. I want to say the title of it is Baby You Had It Coming, I think it was.
Okay.
And I believe it was for Real Shorts. And boy, this mom of this guy was just bad news. And
Okay.
I remember working, like I think it was almost all 7 days. It was a major, like it was a large supporting role. And
Mm.
she just did some villainous things too. Like her granddaughter, she was supposed to be watching her, and she leaves to go to a spa day, and she tells the granddaughter to go, like play hide and seek or something, and then go hide in a closet or something, and then she leave. I
Mm.
mean, and as I was reading the script, I thought, oh, good heavens, okay, this is a lot, because it was,
Yeah.
but I mean, it was so what I tried to do, and I'd love to revisit the script and see if I could find even more of the, um, like I tried to bring some humor to her so that she was just kind of just so ridiculous that you almost, I'm not going to say couldn't take her seriously, but that she was just so self-involved that there's just no hope. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
she's not, she's not being, I mean, she is deliberately being awful, but it's not with the intent to cause harm. She's just too narcissistic.
Yeah.
It's that. And I would love to go back and look at that again. Like I enjoyed that doing that show so much and playing those characters. And I really tried to have fun with it. But I'd like to see if there's like even if I could go even further with some of those scenes,
Yeah.
just because it's one of the ones where there there was someone under the age of, like, there was a child involved, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
and it had to be, I wasn't, doing things deliberately to her, although my actions were certainly not helping her,
Yeah.
leaving a 13-year-old or whatever home alone, Um, although, you know, I'm not saying that doesn't happen or that couldn't happen or
Yeah.
shouldn't happen, but her intent was more focused, on herself and less on doing harm
Yeah.
to the child. But like I thought that was such an interesting script to have to try to, play with. And the people I worked with on that show were just so wonderful, and the
Mm.
child actor as well. Just really, really wonderful. But I would love to look at that one again, and not because I wasn't happy with it, but just because the script presented so many interesting challenges.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. If you could star in a vertical that you would class as your perfect storyline, what would it be?
Oh gosh. Huh. I have been intrigued recently, and of course I would be, because of my age and whatnot. Although I love playing supporting characters and whatnot, but I am also interested in let's say a Jean. I'll use her name because we know who she is in a Jean Smart hacks kind of way. The story of a woman who finds success um, and humor in challenges, and the person is not in their 30s or their 40s,
Yeah.
because the challenges that you face, and there certainly have been a number of verticals written about, women who are finding like love at a later time, and
Mhm.
and and those stories are sort of interesting. They're not generally the ones I audition for because I don't think I fit that mold particularly, um, in sort of a visual way, but I have enjoyed reading the scripts, and I have certainly have auditioned for them, but I love the stories of how we tackle challenges of life and personal, you know, sort of personal growth and what that means if it's not someone, because let's face it, every decade or every couple of decades is a different situation. What is it
Yeah.
like to be a mom with two children? What is it like to be the mom of an older, adult or a young
Yeah.
adult? Those challenges never go away. And the fact that they somehow become less important, or I'm not saying I don't think they do become less important. And I think that that is evidenced by a lot of shows. Like look at Kathy Bates and Matlock. Look at, like I think there is a certainly because part of the viewership, and I'm not talking about Vertical specifically, I'm
Yeah.
speaking about just television in general, but I do think those challenges are infinitely interesting. So I also am really interested. I've done a couple of werewolf
Yeah. Yeah.
verticals, and I'm fascinated in kind of in those stories, um, and how they're a, you know, how they work in the vertical world. And
Yeah.
I'm looking very forward to see like to seeing the new stories that are coming out and what is there was one um there was one recently that Purple Light Pictures did, and I worked for
Yeah.
them once and enjoyed very much and so I'm interested in that story. I haven't seen that one yet. I'm very
Are you talking
interested in
about Love and Blood?
it's the vampire. Yeah,
Yeah.
Love and Blood.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And so yeah, I think where the form can go is very interesting. Um, and I'm interested in what do I bring to the table, the qualities that I have as an actor in however many days that means. Is it one day? Is
Yeah.
it 5 days? Is it 7 days? What does that mean? So I'm kind of interested to see where all of that goes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. The vertical format is evolving rapidly. What changes do you hope to see in the next few years?
Hmm. Well, I don't feel like I'm the best person to probably answer the question of like I let me back up. The question of what would you like to see more of? Because I feel like the fans and I do pay close attention to what people are saying about, gosh, could we look at this or could we look at this? Because I don't, unfortunately, between working and a lot of other things, I don't watch as many as I should,
Yeah.
to get the sense of like what's really happening in the world. So I feel like the fans are a much better um, gauge of that. But what I do pay attention to is what they are saying, and I will say that I have to agree with a lot of what I'm reading about. Could we look at this? Do
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
have to be doing this? Is it really necessary that? Oh, come on, really? And
Yeah.
while I think that there is a world in which all kinds of stories can be told, I think we live in a time right now, at least for me personally, where a little bit of certain things goes a long way, you know? And because I wake up to it every day, at least here in America, it's a thing that I have to sort of, brace myself for every day. What are we going to be dealing with today? And there's a certain level of stress and discombobulation, at least for me as a resident here, that is requires management. So when I go to look for entertainment, and when I am an artistic director and I have my artistic director hat on, and I'm selecting, plays for my company, I have to think about what as an audience member do I want to spend money on to sit and watch for a couple of hours? Because what is happening more so than ever in the 20 years that I have been doing this, or I dare say in my entire life, um, I think there's only so much bandwidth. So I feel
Yeah.
like verticals are included in that,
Yeah.
and who doesn't want a good, I'm not saying everything has to be like puppies and roses, but because you need conflict to tell a dramatic story. But I do think that sometimes, is it really necessary that we have to do that? Is
Mm,
it really necessary that we have to do that? Can we not have a dramatic event and storyline happen without having to, and I'm not being terribly specific because again, I don't have a great I
yeah.
don't have a great plate from which to like speak fluently. And so I do depend on and really listened a lot to the fans because
Yeah.
they're the ones that are consuming it. And very I learn so much and I'm so impressed with the level of understanding of ways to make it better. I mean, just
Yeah.
from a purely human standpoint, you can say, look, this is offensive or whatever. But like also there's a lot of writers and people who want to write for the vertical platform
Yeah.
who are just so intent like who are writing criticism of the vertical platform, who are film critics,
Mm,
and I love that about what's happening in on this platform is there's so much we can learn as I'm not a producer or director of this format, but I think there's a lot to be learned from the folks who are consuming this and
yeah.
who are writers and directors. So I I wish I could be more specific,
Mm,
but what I'll say is that I think anything that is just strikingly offensive, really?
yeah.
I mean, do we I I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
That's
we
my take on it.
appreciate um, you guys listening to us because I know that there are a lot of review pages and things like that, but I also know that the actors themselves only hold a certain amount of power when it comes to this as well. So it's the script writers and the platforms and the clients that make those bigger decisions.
Decisions. Yeah.
So
I mean, I will say that actors that I'm working with, I mean, certainly a lot of the folks that I've worked with that are, in the lead roles, um, and it doesn't have to be a lead, is I know having done, I don't know, 20 some odd now, I think, that I try to get the script as early as I can. And if I just feel like there's things that aren't going to move the ball forward, or I don't feel like I'm the best person to tell that story, or I don't feel like I can really go into it with my heart.
yeah,
um you simply just say no. Just say
yeah,
no. No. Because that story will get told and somebody somewhere will watch it. But I
yeah.
do think I have a responsibility to myself also, like how am I going to apportion my time and what do I want to be saying?
Yeah, and how you want to be seen as well. Like, we also know that, I've seen a lot of people in the fandom world, not so much the supporters of the fandom, but people that just watch the verticals, have a lot of judgment against the characters and they take it to the person, like to the actor. They can't do that. They are
Right.
acting. You need to separate them. And I can
Yeah,
see that it's merging in some places. So,
I've been reading a little bit more. Just I've been sort of busy with the show, but I've been checking in and sort of reading that there's
mm,
been, I guess, a lot of that recently, and
yeah.
I'm glad that people are speaking up about it. I am
Yeah.
not one of those people that has had to, deal with that, but
Yeah.
certainly, yes, being able to separate like this is the character from this is the person. But I do think it runs that risk a little bit. Not that you always want to be playing good characters, not that you don't have drama,
No.
you don't have conflict, you don't have all those things. But I hope
Yeah.
that whatever, because you hate to see, I don't want to see the actors, you know, feeling undue, undue
Yeah.
stress over it.
And majority of the time when they're being a very bad villain and we actually hate them, it just means that they're doing a really good job at what they're supposed to be doing.
Exactly.
And that
Yeah.
isn't them. That isn't the actor, that's the
No, no,
character.
and in many, many, many cases, and it's always so much fun to find out the person is actually quite the opposite of that person, which then
Yeah.
allows, they're just a very good actor,
Yes.
or um
Yeah. That's good. Okay, so what's the funniest thing to ever happen to you on set?
Oh, good heavens. It's definitely something involving um I'm sure it's involving Hunter and some, I'm trying to
Yeah.
think early on. I mean, I think we just early in back, I have only been since it's 2024. I started, I think, March or April of 2024. And I had the pleasure of working for the same company a number of times with a lot of the same actors. And it was a really wonderful, we had so much fun off, like between scenes, just trying to, you ask sort of how do you structure your day or what's it like being on set? Those experiences were just so much fun because it keeps the relaxation there, it keeps the energy up. And I just remember spoofing the Real Housewives franchise with like because we were I, I don't know, I think we were shooting in right outside of New York City at that time, and Hunter came up with the idea of the Real Housewives of wherever whatever tiny town we were shooting in at that point. And so we just started like filming introductions, the famous introductions that they shoot where the housewives. And I just remember laughing and laughing and laughing those days and thinking we were just having so much fun, and that was important at the time because I do remember shooting around the time of the election, and so like that stress relief was very helpful for people regardless of which side of the political
Yeah.
spectrum we're on. So I can't I j- that particular day of shooting the Real Housewives, I think it was of Secaucus we were doing, and just having so much fun, just doing, making stories for Instagram. And
Yeah.
but each one has presented fun moments and just new opportunities, to kind of try to find ways to, you know, keep the day fresh and the energy up.
Yeah. Okay, so this is the question I think that you could definitely answer since you've done both. What's something that you do on set that acting school could have never taught you?
Mm. Oh, interesting. It might have taught me this. But then I talked to actors who did study at conservatory and say, I never learned the things that I didn't learn. And I think a lot of it is just like, is that aspect of how do I organize my efficiency, my energy efficiency, my day? How do I eat that day? How do what do I do to maximize like it was interesting. I was working recently with an actor from Los Angeles, and we were having lunch and I looked down at what he was eating, and it was like stacked protein all the way across, which
Yeah.
is like, obviously a very smart choice. But we got to talking through like, yeah, just what he eats on set as if he was, yeah, like an Olympic runner or whatever. And you are in
Yeah.
some ways doing 7 days and you're doing these 14-hour days and whatnot. So I think it's those kinds of things which I think factor in very importantly, and I'm guessing particularly so for the leads because they have such a long
Yeah.
haul and they're working these things back to back to back to back to back. And if I'm working 4 days and they're working nine, or I'm working five and they're working 10, that's double, So it's that whole just system of like, how do I take care of myself to work these very long days, to be nourished, to have my brain work and function? Because let's face it, there are going to be days where you're just so tired that literally, like, it's almost like, can I even muster the energy to get these lines out of, out?
Yeah.
And those are
Yeah.
the things that it's like Olympic. Well, I'm saying Olympic. I was a a high school and college gymnast, but it's those kinds of things. Like, how do I train, and how do I what is my sleep schedule like, and what do I have to give up in my life to be
Yeah.
able to do this? And I think those lessons almost end up being more important to me than like, because while in many ways, I sort of wish I had gone to conservatory. I put my own school together. Like as soon as I graduated from school, I was already, because I was in, I was an acting minor. So I was taking
Mm.
acting. It's like I didn't know, and I was a dancer and I was familiar with all this. But it's like then I had to put my own graduate program together, if you will,
Yeah.
and study, and I still study. So um, I do wonder what things would have been like had I gone to conservatory, like what my trajectory would have been. But I'm very thankful for all the things I learned that were very practical applications, particularly now that the business is sort of somewhat shifting and like many people, most people have maybe not many vertical leads, but you have other jobs that you are working or you have other things that
Yeah.
you need to be able to rely on if and when the work is a little bit not, is not as robust as you have to be able to, get through the
Juggle.
down times.
Yeah.
So I think it's sort of the life skills and the sort of all that stuff.
Yeah.
How do I mine my way through looking for new representation or working with new representation and still like, those are the kind of practical things that I think can have a very big impact on, you know, how you maneuver your way through your schedule,
Yeah.
you know?
Mm. Okay. Is there anything you want anybody to know about you or your work?
Oh gosh. I guess my thing would, I think the thing that I do tell people, the question I get asked a lot is, I don't know how you do all of these things. Run
Yeah.
a theater company, go back and forth to New York, get out to LA, go to Mexico, do all these things. Now my son is grown and, he's in school, so that is not a factor anymore. Um, and also many times people will say, well, can you really be a theater director and be in a production or be producing and be in a production? Can you? And the
Mm.
answer to all of that is you
Yeah.
can. I mean, I guess I have have been able to do that. And have been, I think successful at it in the way that I just define success, which is creative passion. So I always when people ask me, I just don't know how you manage to like do these things. It's you find a way to fit in the things that you want to do. Like we didn't do a show last year. I took a year off because I was so busy doing verticals. But then I
Yeah.
realized that I missed the stage and I missed what the stage brings to the work and I missed the audience and I missed being in a room with people and creating something over a period of 3 months or 2 months or a month. I missed that experience of building something by hand.
Yeah.
Not that theater, not that TV and film is not that, because it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I would say you can do it. You can do a lot of things. You can do much more than you think you can do, and you will figure out a way to do it. You'll figure out a way to make it work.
Yeah.
And it's the same old, don't let anybody tell you you can't, because
Mm.
generally those are people that haven't done it. Even if
Yes.
they are
And
offering,
if there's
they're
enough passion and dedication there, you can do it. Like you just need to
yes.
have that passion and the love for it and know that you want to do that thing, then it makes it easier to actually do it.
Yeah, if you don't love it, I mean, that's what the question we get a lot with the theater is, well, you all haven't worked, you're not, you didn't become like like a big, regional theater. Not everybody has to be a regional theater. There
No.
is a place for, it's just like look at the vertical world, right? There is a place for subsets, and we're seeing that more and more and more with
Yeah.
people producing and just the way things are going just in television and film. So like you're a maker, you're a creator, and if that is what drives your passion, then that's what drives your passion, and you find a way to do it, and it will have that spark and
Mm.
that body to it.
Yeah. And at the
Uh,
end of the day, you still get to do what you love every day, or like as much as possible anyway. So,
Yeah, exactly. You find a way to make it work. I'm running off after we speak to do some medical education work this afternoon, working with students, helping them to, understand like neuro exams, and whatnot.
mhm.
And there's a I love keeping in touch with that group of people because they inspire me. Um,
Yeah.
and there's a creativity to the work that they do.
Yeah, of
Um,
course.
so you got to find the people that inspire you, the stories that inspire you, the work that
Yeah.
inspires you, and just go out and do it, just like what you're doing, and all of the people in the vertical world who are helping to make this a robust, um, creative field.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, I've got one more question for you. What does a good day on set look like for you?
Oh gosh, a good day on set. Where I feel like, my character is very clear, where I have really given the leads, or whoever I'm working opposite, generally it's the leads, something to dig into. I've given them something to play with.
Yeah.
Um, where I am um, wearing wardrobe's costumes well and using them to the best advantage so that the integration of the character and the costume is there, where the director is happy with the work that I've done, where the producer has a smile on their face to the degree that
Yeah.
they can, and where the work was, done efficiently and like with vigor, you know. Um, and when I'm tired at the end of the day, generally, and not exhausted in a sense of like, oh my God, because there's going to be chaos, there always is about things, but
Mm.
also being able to like navigate all of that well and be able to support the leads and the work that they're doing, whatever it is they need from the supporting actor. That always feels like a job well done to me, where the director's happy, the leads have gotten their work done, everybody's and we got all the scenes shot for the day, and nobody got hurt. not
Yeah.
that not that that happens, but you know what I mean, where I've made some new friends. I always enjoy that aspect of it.
Yeah. I heard by a few people that having good food is one of the best
Oh,
parts of their day.
thank you, Kat. That is okay. I'm
Yeah.
so glad you brought that up. Can we talk about the food? Yes. The
Absolutely.
food. Listen, can I tell you, in Mexico, Purple Light Pictures in Mexico, um, yes, that was something.
Yeah.
That helps a lot because
Yeah.
nutrition is all that. But yes, the food, yes, I will say like that helps a lot. And just generally, I think the degree to which there's enough support that, certainly it helps to be in beautiful weather in LA.
Mm.
So, it's those things all are an assist, but you're absolutely right. Whoever brought the food up, that
There's a
is
few people. It's been said
okay,
more than
good. I
once.
will go with the
So
food. Well, I will have to cast my vote for food.
yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Like they said, I think I was speaking to Tristan and he said if it's like one day, it's fine if you just get whatever. But when you're working 9 to 10 days,
Yes.
you need
No, very true.
decent food,
Very
to
true.
help you get through the
Very
day.
true. You do, and yes, it needs to be thought through, if like in the way of, and also it is true that like if you're going to be, for those folks working 10 days straight or whatever, um variety is really nice as well, though. I mean,
Yeah.
so I don't think we can underestimate the contribution that nutrition makes in all of this, and coffee.
Yes.
Nutrition and coffee.
Everybody needs coffee and
Yes,
Celsius.
yes. And Celsius, there you go.
Yeah.
I have to be careful with the Celsius because after a certain time but yes, all of those things, all of those
Yeah.
things.
I actually really loved his answer as to why food was important to him. And it wasn't just nutrition. He said, when you get to build chemistry with somebody, when you're not actually working, you're doing it over a meal. And you
You
want
are.
that meal to be good to build chemistry with the people around you. And I thought that was really good.
No, that's very, very true. But yeah, yes, you're meeting a lot of times, yeah, new people that you've never worked with before. And that's so very true. It would be, yes, I could see the equivalent of that being in a restaurant and ordering something that you didn't like, and you're just thinking about that the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, how do I get through this? So yeah,
Yeah.
that's a great point. It is all about, I mean, a film set is a stage production. It is. It's the behind the scenes of all of that.
Yeah.
Um, so
Hmm.
yeah, I would have to agree with everything he said.
Yes. Okay. Well, thank you for having this interview with me today, and thank you for our coffee date we finally got to have.
Oh, well, thank you for reaching out and for giving me the opportunity. I'm so glad, delighted to meet you.